All right, you guys coming off a pretty nice road trip. Just want to recap that a little bit, or you want to go right into previewing this week?
I mean, obviously, anytime you can go on the road in the league and win 2 games, it hadn't been done prior to last weekend. You've got to be excited about doing that, and you've got to feel like you've accomplished something. But that was last weekend, and obviously New Mexico State and UTEP, they're coming to our place this weekend, so that's all in the past. And we've got to focus on these 2 teams because we're 0-1 against both of them.
Kind of going off that, Coach, I mean, going into last week, you sat there and you said that we have to prove we can go on the road and win, which you did, but now coming back into this, you have 2 teams coming into Diddle Arena who you previously lost to, and they're kind of in the same boat. Both teams have yet to win on the road, so you got to think that we're coming into Diddle Arena with that same mindset.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not rocket science, and both Coach Golding and Coach Hooten, those guys, they're building their team and their culture around the same thing that we are, toughness and defense and rebounding, and they're telling their guys, hey, now you gotta, it's been proven that Western Kentucky can lose at home, so now you've got to go do it.
I know that turnovers have been a concern at times. It seemed like obviously the numbers were down a little bit on the plus side. Also, maybe they came at better times when they did come. Was that your feeling at all, too?
Well, I thought against Jacksonville State, I mean, we turned the ball over way too much in the first half, but then the second half we were fantastic. That's as good as we've been against a team such as Jacksonville State that's very aggressive defensively, that pressures. That's as good as we've been against a team like that all year. I mean, we had 1 turnover in the second half, and that's going to be key for us moving forward. I mean, UTEP, if I'm not mistaken, they're 1, 2, or 3 in turnovers forced in the country. They're also number 1, 2, or 3 in fouls per game. So the refs are not going to call all the fouls, and that's the theory behind that. So we've got to be strong with the basketball. We can't let it fluster us. We obviously have to be tougher than we've been, and then we've got to take advantage of it when they do foul us, and we've got to get to the free throw line, and we've got to make our free throws. So, this game maybe isn't as much about these next two games. Maybe are not as much about X's and O's and schematics as they are about toughness and rebounding and not shooting yourself in the foot.
The first UTEP game, I think they got to the free throw line a lot, especially in the second half. How do you kind of prevent that a little bit, or sort of get a little more even in that stat category?
Well, I mean, you've got to be strong with the basketball, and then when the pressure, comes to you, you've got to be willing to address it head on. You've got to sometimes put your head down and drive the ball to the basket and force them to foul you or force the refs to call the foul. And you can't turn your back from it. So it's no different than having when you were younger and you had a bully at school. You're either going to fight him or you're not going to fight him. And we've got to take the fight to them. We cannot be on our heels.
What player do you think can establish that fight inside or maybe around the perimeter, getting into the paint? What player do you think is going to be big in establishing that?
I think they all have to do it. I mean, it's harder for a guy like Don McHenry at 168 pounds, right? 60 pounds, whatever he is, to do it when he has, somebody guarding him is 205. It's hard for him, but that doesn't mean that he can't do it, and that doesn't mean that he won't do it. But it's got to be all of them. It's got to be everyone collectively. And when you're short on guards, and everybody's got to band together. That means that the forwards got to handle the ball a little bit more, and maybe even the bigs are going to handle the ball a little bit more. But ultimately, we've got to take care of the basketball, figure out a way to do it. I don't have all the answers on that one, and because some of it is just deep down in your gut and your heart, and having the mental fortitude and the fight to do it and the toughness to do it. So, but our guys have proven that they can do it. So it's just a matter of now going out and doing it for the next 80 minutes on our home floor.
Tay Hards really kind of been the guy that's made them go. What does he do well? What problems does he present?
Hardy can score in a lot of different ways. I mean, if you have a smaller defender on him, they can put him in the post a little bit, but he can put the ball down and get to the basket as well. But really, he's scored a lot from the three, and he's done a good job of getting to the free throw line. So, I mean, talk about three-level scores. He's certainly one of those guys, and that's why he's, on the all-conference ballot list and those sorts of things. So he's a problem, but, UTEP does such a good job of getting to the free throw line and creating offense from defense, That's just where they're fantastic. And back to our turnovers again, we absolutely cannot turn the ball over.
Oftentimes, this seems like, too, Conference USA, when you look at the coaching staffs, it almost feels like a Southland reunion tour a little bit. Is the style of play similar to when you guys were coming up in that conference, or is there any similarities at all?
Well, first of all, it's funny you say that because I just texted Joe Golding this morning that he had all Southland Conference officials on Saturday night for his game. So we had a laugh about that. But, I think that league is a little bit is very similar in that you have guys that are aggressive and defensive-minded, and all of us did, kind of come up through that league at some point and maybe learn or get our feet wet down there. So you're gonna we all have a certain level of DNA that says we're defensive minded people, so you're gonna always stick to that. And I think that Coach Golding and Coach Hooten, both those guys, they're always gonna play defensive minded basketball first, and it's treated them both well. Obviously, they both won a lot of games, so I don't know the reason to change it. So
UTEP's coming off a really impressive win against New Mexico State too, just score-wise. What did they do particularly well in that game to separate like that against Sunday night?
Well, they started the game off playing fantastic defense. I think they had them down 12-0 or 15-2 or something along those lines, and they made they made some shots early, but really the majority of their scoring early on was generated because they played such good defense. I mean, when New Mexico State would try to drive to the basket, they would collapse on the basketball and they'd either get a steal or they'd force a turnover or they'd force an errant pass of some sort. And then next thing you know, they're off and running in transition. So it definitely started with their defense. So hopefully, those guys will leave their defense in El Paso and think that they're going to come to Diddle and just outscore us, and it'll be an offensive game rather than a defensive game. But it should be a good game. I hope that obviously the town and the city, I should say, will come out and support Thursday night. I mean, they're having a couple promotions. I think the first 250 people get a silicone wine glass. They're doing a promotion for Valentine's Day where maybe if you forget to get your wife something on Wednesday, you can put her name up on the board on Thursday. There's a promotion for that. So there's several different things going on. And then obviously the students. The students were here last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, and they were great. So we need to get them back out to the game on Thursday. I think it could be a big night for us. But at the end of the day, we put ourselves back in a position to be climbing towards the top of the leaderboard in Conference USA. So we're playing meaningful basketball as we head into March. And to me, that's way, you measure a program. Are you playing meaningful basketball as you head into March? And that's what we've got to keep fighting for. So I think Thursday will be a fun night. And then obviously Saturday, we got a lot of stuff going on Saturday too. In a totally different opponent, but a very similar opponent, New Mexico State.
These times will help attendance a little, especially the weekday games. I know you guys have played 7, 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Maybe seems a little more friendly fan-wise. You think that'll help?
You get so many opinions on game times because obviously I come into this situation and it's new and it's normal to play at 7 o'clock. So I ask people, hey, what time would you prefer to play? 7, 8, 6? A lot of people have told me that they prefer 6 o'clock games. It seemed to me that our 8 o'clock game, what was that, last Thursday? It seemed to me we had a great student crowd, but we didn't have our normal season ticket holders And maybe it's because it's a little later game. But, you know, the questions on the Saturday games as well, you know, as a coach, man, there's nothing worse than having to sit around all day and wait for the game at 7 o'clock at night. Like, I'm a big fan in playing at 2 or 4 or 6 and playing as early as you can so that, you know, hey, if we play at 2 or 4, you're still going to be able to go out and have a nice dinner and enjoy your family after you come watch us play. So I think that that's a heck of a deal. So we track, and our athletic department tracks attendance based upon game times and opponents. But, you know, I still believe that it all comes down to, do you have a quality product? You know, and are the people supportive of the way you play, and are they supportive of, you know, your team and what your team is about? So, I don't know. Saturday's a big one, though. They have First Responders Day. I believe that's going on. And then we also have Senior Day, right? And I know that we'll have one more home game after Saturday, but in order to allow, like, Brandon Newman's mom to come, or Rodney's family to come, or Dante's family to come, we try to do it on a Saturday. And, you know, it's a different time, right? Brandon's been here for about as long as I have. Rodney's been here for a little less than that. And Dante's going on, year number 2. It's not where these guys have been here 4 years. But that doesn't mean that they don't still love Western, and we shouldn't still love them, and we shouldn't come out and support them on Saturday. It's a big day for those guys.
Kind of a rough and tumble road trip, too. I mean, I know you had Lander with you. He didn't end up playing, wanted to get his status. And did you come out healthy from 2 games?
You talking about me or the team?
All of it, yeah.
Well, Christian did not make the trip. We kept him back to see some doctors and those sorts of things. He's making progress towards returning to play. So we would like to think that he'll be playing moving forward. We have a couple guys that are banged up that are seeing the doctor and getting some MRIs here today. And so we'll know a little bit more about that later this afternoon. But yeah, we're fine. I mean, it's February, right? Everybody's tired, everybody's banged up. You know, everybody gets the flu. It's just part of it. Nobody really cares if you have the flu. Ray Harper did not care that I had the flu on Saturday, other than that he didn't want to shake my hand. You know, he didn't want to get sick. That's just, every team has this, and so we cannot use that as an excuse for us moving forward. You know, we've got to move forward. I knocked him.